Welcome back to KC Talks EV. Now, it has actually been quite a while since I've updated you regarding my ZS EV. I really do apologise. It's been quite a while and I've been really busy. We're going to sort of leave off from the last time I spoke about it, which was in the hotel room at the Cambridge Extra Services. So this was on the 22nd of December. What then happened was essentially the car got relayed up to Hull. It took, I think, 2 or 3 recovery companies in order to do that, but it did arrive on not New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve, and I was back down in Yeovil. I did come back up on the 30th of December. Now, I took the train up. It actually only cost, I think, £40, including a rail card. It actually makes me debate whether it's even worth driving in Yeovil nowadays. Essentially, I picked up a courtesy car. Now, this courtesy car, I believe, was a MG ZS 1 litre turbo petrol. So I did do a couple, I think I did about a week of commutes before I picked up the car again. And it did, I believe it was somewhere in the region of like 36, 37 miles to the gallon. At that sort of pricing, at the time, it would have cost me around £10 to £15 a day in petrol, so it wasn't exactly great. I pretty much had to put in about 15 quid of petrol every day, pretty much. There was a petrol station on the A180, which was significantly cheaper compared to any of the supermarkets, so I normally filled up there. Fast forward about, I think, nearly a week, I picked up my car. Now, what then happened was literally 48 hours later, I got in the car to pick up a Too Good To Go order. So that's where you can get like discounted food that's going to be thrown away. And yeah, it didn't start. Vehicle control system fault. So next day, called up MG Assistance. I swear they probably know me by name at this point. And they picked it up and went straight to Maple. I then made my own way to Maple Garage, picked up I believe it was a Ssangyong Corando, with a 1.5 litre turbo petrol. That didn't do any better than 35 miles to the gallon, so that was even worse. But actually, in the grand scheme of things, it drove fairly well. Then if I managed to drive about 300 miles, so nearly a whole week's of commute before it decided to have a vehicle control fault. This time around, it didn't happen at home, it didn't happen at work, but instead it happened on the Humber Bridge. In fact, actually, I did come off the Humber Bridge, but there is a photo that I've got. That's me just after the Humber tag bay. So at this point, I've been charged £1.50 and it decided to conk out there. Now, I just want to give a massive thumbs up to the Humber Bridge board team. Really lovely people. In fact, they gave me a tea afterwards as I was waiting. So really, thank you so much for the Humber Bridge board team. Got picked up by MG Assistance again, and at this point, Maple did replace quite a hefty unit. I had a MG ZS EV long range at this point for just under 2 weeks. I did ask for one just because it was costing me quite a lot of money in petrol at this point, and essentially it was, I believe, one of their demonstrator models. So yeah, they did sort of lend me that for a couple, well, nearly just under 2 weeks. At this point, they are replacing quite heavy parts of the vehicle. So at this point, they replaced the top box on top of the motor and I believe the inverter. It may have actually been the inverter. I'm not quite sure about that. It is, however, different compared to my original one. My original one is a lot flatter in design, and I do believe that the high voltage cables don't come up from the top. I do have some photos here just to show you what that looked like. At this point in time, this car has pretty much been absolutely fine. I did have a little scare. Now, what was kind of alluded to was that between the second and the third one, I believe that MG UK suggested that it may have been my charger doing this. Now, the reason why I don't believe that was completely the case, and there was something quite fundamentally wrong with my car, was that essentially on the time when it broke down at the Shell in Buckton, obviously that just came off a rapid charge before doing that. Another thing as well is that at every single step, the AA people tried to clear the fault codes. When they tried to clear the fault codes, it just didn't do anything. Or alternatively, it cleared and then 10 seconds later gave me the vehicle control system fault. However, when I unplugged my car from my Rolex charger, it did give me a vehicle control system fault for the 5th time. However, I do own a OBD2 scanner. So I plugged it in, cleared the codes, and it's been absolutely fine since. In fact, I did take it back to Maple just to double check there wasn't anything odd about it, and it's fine now. So essentially, I kind of went, look, if it is my Rolex charger, it's now out of warranty, and I didn't really want to mess about with that. I did kind of want an excuse to go buy a Zappi. So I've just bought a My Energy Zappi. Unfortunately, there are two things. First of all, the installer kind of messed up a little bit. They didn't install the tamper detection kit. However, My Energy are kind of at the moment trying to sort that out at the moment. So fingers crossed that's fine. Hasn't really affected the charging at least. And I finally get time charging again. And at least have some peace of mind that my car won't break down every time I plug it into a charger. But that being said, I reckon it was somewhere in between. I think there may have been something with my charger. But more importantly, I definitely think there was something wrong with the vehicle. My car's at this point now done about, well, it's just ticked over 51,000 miles. So essentially, there will be a 50,000 mile update video. I'm not going to talk about this in particular detail. I'll just redirect everyone to this video. But that's pretty much the saga now. I'm really hoping that this car does kind of work a little bit more than that, especially now the prices of EVs have kind of dropped really. I'm not really looking in the market for a new car as such, but fingers crossed, that's kind of the end of that. My kind of general conclusions to this are if your vehicle is suffering from a vehicle control system fault, you may want to have a look at the PEB or PEM and maybe, I don't know, get your dealer to have a look at that. It did take a little bit of sort of trial and error in order to work that out. So just keep that in mind. Maybe point them and maybe steer them in a little bit the right direction. I mean, I'm not an expert in this, obviously, but this car has been fine now for the last around 3,000, 4,000 miles. So I think that's pretty much it. So if you enjoyed the video or you found it informative at least, please give it a like, dislike it if you didn't. Please share this to anyone who may actually have a ZS EV that's currently doing this. At least you now know kind of all the saga and what's kind of happened recently. But I think that's pretty much it. So thank you for watching and talk to you later.